formally begin the meeting of the day. And as we begin, I'll request Madam Alfin Daisy to kindly lead us in a word of prayer. You can unmute, and then you lead us in a word of prayer, then we formally begin the meeting of the day.
Let's pray. Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, we thank you, we honor you, we glorify your name. As you're going to start this meeting, may you be with us. Guide us through by your strength. For it is in Jesus' name we pray and we believe. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Madam. Now, I take this chance to welcome everybody for the meeting of today. It's a training that is being hosted by AYAN as well as KPSA. Ordinarily, we normally conduct such trainings after every exam cycle, that is once a term. It's a session that brings us together as teachers to look at how do we progress in terms of our trainings, how do we sharpen ourselves, how do we retool ourselves so that we get to improve as we get along every day. Now, this particular session that we are having these trainings, we are joined by a partner that we'll be working closely with in the name of AYAN. AYAN stands for International Education and Resource Network. This is an organization that is a network of educators who are very passionate about using technology for transformative teaching and learning. So they'll take up the first session. The session is in 2 hours. The first session goes between 3 to 4. And the second session takes place from 4 to 5. So the first session will be taken up by AYAN team. Then after that, we'll get a facilitator that will take us through the subject of today, which is English. So he'll take us through Mr. Ashford Gikunda. Of course, I'll introduce him at a later stage. He'll take us through what are some of the areas of that we need to put a lot of emphasis, especially now that we are in third term and we are preparing students for KCPE. And again, he'll also take us through how to look at English as a subject and then how to make it look appealing such that students, because most of our exams, or virtually all exams are set in English, except of course those are language-based like Swahili, French, and Germany. All of the others are always set in English. So he'll take us through some of the things that as teachers we need to emphasize on. So it's going to be a very interactive session. Towards the end of the session or today's training will give room for, it will be kind of plenary where you can ask questions. You can also be responded to. At the same time, because we are so many that have joined and the others are yet to join, we have an icon for chat. In case you have any concern, any query as the presentation is going through, you can just write whatever information that you may want us to know, so that as we go along with the presentation, you can also be responded to via the chat column, or maybe during the plenary, you'll be given a chance to talk. Towards the end, we also have an icon that for raising hands. If maybe you'll have an issue with the presentation, you can raise up your hand, you'll be given a chance to talk or to ask the question, but at the end. So for now, I'm already seeing somebody is raising hands. Right now, I want to give time for the presentations. Let us first of all go through the presentations. Then the plenary session will take place towards the end, the last 15 minutes to 5. So maybe that will be my request for now. And so I take this chance to welcome the presenter from AYAN. He'll also introduce himself or herself, then after that we'll get along. So feel welcome everybody, and let us all gain and learn together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction. I just want to introduce I and Tim, and I believe you are able to hear me. Just confirm via the chat area if you're able to hear me. Am I audible? You can confirm via the chat area. I see a lot of chats of hi everyone, I can't hear. And when I check closely, I see they've not joined with their audios. So if there are teachers from your institution, kindly advise them to join with their audio so that they can be able to get the presentation. Without joining with the audio, you're not able to get the presentation. Okay, so my name is Beldin Atieno from International Education and Resource Network. And just like George has mentioned, this program is in partnership with IAN Kenya, in partnership with the KPSA. So mostly we deal with teachers, students, and those in the education fraternity. So I'll give you a brief introduction of what we will be learning. This is one of the many sessions that we will have. We've partnered with GIPSA to provide this continuing teacher professional development. And I know most teachers are aware with the current education system, that is CBC, there's need to continue developing professionals, especially teachers, and also equipping them with the right knowledge. Previously, you heard of the coding program that was introduced to the schools. So we will also be doing this, so do not fear. You are catered for in terms of teaching you how to go about the coding activities, at the same time how to prepare your children to be future ready. So allow me just share my screen briefly. I'm just doing the first part, which is the introduction. After that, we'll have yet another presenter from our end who is going to take us now into details of some of the 21st century skills that we can share in our various platforms. So let me just have my screen up and then we will be able to proceed. Just a minute. Okay, so just confirm if you're able to see my screen. Okay, thank you so much. So for this particular presentation, we want to talk about future ready kids. The question is, how can we prepare children to be future ready? So the newer technologies that we have that include artificial intelligence, machine learning, and robotics, these are some of the coding courses or other coding technologies that we will be interacting with. They always appear to be too hard or unimaginable, how it's quite unimaginable how they have penetrated in our lives today. So some time ago, let me say in 2018, when someone told you about online studying or online learning, you'd ask yourself, how is that possible? And I know with the COVID-19, most of us have been exposed to online studies. We've held our classes online, our projects online, even our research, we've started doing them online. Right now, we have a lot of stuff that is going on. People are developing driverless cars. You can detect fraud in your financial systems. Those ones who have bank accounts, you realize you can detect that. On your phones, there is facial recognition, such that if you want to open your phone, you just put it next to your face and then it's able to unlock automatically. So all these things, I know we may be wondering, how is that possible? And who develops them? So you know our children, the children that we are teaching today are the same children that we will be expected to deliver that content in the next 10 years or so. So the question is, how can we prepare our children to be ready for that? It doesn't take rocket science to imagine that our lives will be thoroughly changed in the years to come, more so for our children. Statistics show that almost 65% of children today will have jobs that haven't been invented yet. Even the existing jobs will undergo a radical makeover. So the question that we want to handle now is how do teachers identify the trends predict what students need and prepare for it. So that is the question that we will be handling today. As teachers who've joined this platform, how will you identify the trends and predict what students will need and prepare them for it? So let's look at some of the evolving professions that we have. This is just an overview of what we will be learning. I know previously in our professions, or those who went to school, let me say 20 years ago, some of the professions that we were handling were doctor, engineer, the big five. I know you know them. And then you are told that, these are the only professions that exist. But right now we have evolving professions that did not exist 10 years ago. But right now they are really selling, and we need to prepare these learners for them. So I'll just take us briefly through some 2 or 3, and then we'll be able to dive into some of the 21st century skills that we need to learn about. Remember, this is just a beginning of the sessions that we will be holding with KIPSA. So just stay tuned as we progress. So we'll start with artificial intelligence and healthcare. I know you've heard about artificial intelligence. So sorry about that. So it's estimated that okay, sorry about that. Okay, so I was talking about artificial intelligence and healthcare. So right now, doctors, the kind of jobs that they do, they will need other sensors and virtual reality aspect and artificial intelligence that will allow them to do their best, especially in healing and innovation. So in 2020, there was an app that was developed that could detect coronavirus from the sound of a cough. I know that sounds interesting. So when you looked closely at that particular app, the accuracy was 70%, which was more than half. So that indicates that it was close by, it was working. So whether or not this app comes to our rescue or not, the signs and direction that AI can take our lives are promising. So, and then I also want to talk about virtual reality classrooms. Most of the time, we always, if you want to give a tour of, let me say, the human digestive system, what happens? We take charts, pin them on our walls, tell learners, when you eat, the food moves directly from the mouth to the esophagus, then down to the stomach, it stays to the small intestine, large intestine, and all that. But did you know where we are going, where we are moving in? Virtual reality is taking over, where instead of taking them through a theoretical process, you have all that in a virtual reality, you upload it there. So the learner is taken through a virtual tour. Something that is visual is hard for a learner to forget. So we also have these virtual reality tools that will also enable the learners to be equipped to ensure that they're also ready for the future. What about the workplaces that our learners are going to work in? What kind of workspaces are they going to work? What's their interaction? So let's just briefly see what is happening in other parts of the world. We are no longer having waitresses who are humans. We are having robot waitresses.
Robots are easier to work with.
Yes, so we're gonna go to the carriage to the ladies.
So how can we do this to our learners? What is coding all
I'm
about?
going to work now.
And what is making our learners future ready all about? What are some of these 21st century skills that we can equip our learners with? And this is where they're going to work.
Hello, here is your day.
What was the experience like?
It was interesting.
Children loved it.
Yeah, the children did.
Yeah.
Farah, what did you think of the robot?
Did you find them pleasant? to
Yes.
talk
Yes,
to?
very polite. Very polite.
Very
She doesn't actually talk.
Hello, how are you today?
It's really simple to use, which is to press any table number and choose the dish and just press start, and then she's gonna go to the table which has been selected.
I am going to work now. Hello, here is your dish. Please take it away from my tray.
Do you wanna touch the red hand so it will move now?
The red hand.
Yeah, it's on each side. Yeah.
I am going back to work now.
Okay, so these are some of the places where our learners are going to work in. So if we continue teaching in the same way that we used to teach, do you think they'll be equipped to work in these places? Or do you think they will be able to be designers of these robotic stuff and also putting them out there? And then I think, let me just have the next one. Sorry about that. Let me just share these.
No, this isn't a runaway truck, and no, it's not an outtake from the action movie Speed. This is a conventional 18-wheeler that drives itself, thanks to a $30,000 retrofit. San Francisco startup Otto, which Uber bought this summer, made history with this truck. It completed the world's first truck autonomous delivery, carrying 50,000 cans of Budweiser from a brewery in Fort Collins, Colorado, to Colorado Springs, 120 miles away. The human drove the truck onto the highway, flipped on self-driving mode, and spent the next 2 hours of interstate chilling in the back seat. Autonomous cars may get all the buzz, but teaching trucks to drive themselves could deliver major economic and safety benefits. With 3 million drivers in the US, trucks carry 70% of American freight. But there still aren't nearly enough human drivers to do the job. Most new drivers quit within a year. And because you people can't stop buying stuff online, demand is only going to go up, and that shortage will just get worse. And roughly 400,000 trucks crash every year, killing about 4,000 people, and costing the economy billions of dollars. Human error is nearly always to blame. Otto says the solution is a robot that doesn't get tired, angry, drunk, or distracted.
So we're able to perceive everything, we're able to act faster, and as a result, we're able to make that truck driver monitoring the system and the act of driving much safer.
To take a conventional truck and turn it into a self-driving big rig, Otto's got to add 4 key ingredients. One is up top. That's a forward-facing camera. This is one of 3 LiDAR detection systems that see the world with lasers, much the way radar works. Speaking of radar, you've got one of those too. This guy right here looks.
Okay, so this one is an example of a driverless truck. So all these uses Internet of Things. So just like I was mentioning, this is where our learners are heading to. This is where the future is headed to. 10 years ago, we had only manual cars. Right now, I know most of you are driving automatic cars. What happened to the manual cars? How many of them still exist? They're slowly getting scraped off. So it's being replaced almost 100% by automatic cars. And soon we will have them replaced by driverless cars, where we won't need someone even to operate on the steering wheel, just sitting back. The vehicle is able to detect the lines on the road. It's able to detect emergency vehicles and give way, able to detect traffic lights. And that is the world where we are heading to. In 10 years to come, 5 years to come, we will have these on our Kenyan roads. So what learners are we raising to be engineers for these vehicles? What learners are we raising to be ready to ensure that these vehicles are on the road? So as we progress, I'll just summarize this so that I hand it over to our next presenter. So how do we prepare future-ready kids? I'll briefly talk about the 21st century learning design. And the 21st century learning design, it introduces the aspect where we need to teach creativity to our learners. How do we ensure that our learners establish a culture of creativity? So in creativity, soon we will have students cashing in on creativity as a currency. They'll be able to capture the attention of their audience with their work. And then we also have the aspect of collaboration. How do we teach collaboration in our classrooms? How do we ensure that our students are able to collaborate? Did you know that putting students together in one room in a group, it's not collaboration? We'll talk about collaboration today, so just stay tuned. And then we also have the aspect of seizing opportunities everywhere, online and in real life. What are some of the problems that you face in your community? You can bring your learners to think about that. What are some of the problems that they face in their community, in their environment, in their schools? What are some of these problems that they face? And what are some of the solutions that they can come up with? In the process of them checking on the problems, coming up with the solutions, they'll be able to gain skills like critical thinking, real world problem solving, innovation. All these skills our learners can be able to get if we do the right way in ensuring that they are equipped. And then we also have the aspect of focusing on creating instead of consuming. I know briefly, if you ask your learners how many of them play games at home, you'll have a good number of them raising hands saying that indeed we play games at home. The next question that you can ask them, how many of you have ever created a game for someone else to play? So we can teach them how to construct knowledge, not just consuming, they construct knowledge. And with the CBC, it's very possible to do this. It's very possible to start with projects, coming up with projects and ensuring that learners learn through project-based learning, such that they're able to do knowledge construction. And then all these are integrated in the use of ICT for teaching and for learning. You can ensure that your learners are able to use ICT for learning, for doing their research, for doing their presentation. And then the aspect of skilled communication should also come out really clearly. I remember when we were growing up, we used to have the aspect of texting. If we wanted to say Sasa, we would put XO. And I realized that that one was really killing our communication skills. So all these, even in chats, when someone wants to chat, they try using short form instead of writing WHY, they just write Y. And at the end of the day, there is no communication that has taken place. So all these are supposed to be mentored as early as possible so that when they get outside there in the job market, they're able to communicate effectively and not just using one form of communication. They can use multimodal forms of communication and even present their ideas in a way that is understandable. So I think I'll just end my presentation at that. I want to hand it over to the next presenter that we have on board in the next 20 or 25 minutes. Someone has unmuted. Okay. So in the next 20 or 25 minutes, we'll be able to be done, and then we get to the next session. So let me just hand it over to our next presenter. Our next presenter is called Maxwell Kayesi, also a team member of International Education and Resource Network, one of our master trainers, especially in professional development, in professional teachers development skills. And he'll be able to do much of the introduction as he takes us to the next session.
Thank you so much, Belvin, for that wonderful presentation during the first phase of this training. Good evening, good afternoon, teachers from wherever you are, and other members who are joining us for this training this day. Welcome for this teacher professional development course on 21st century learning design. My name is Maxwell Kayesi, as Belvin has said earlier. I'm a teacher too, also passionate about ICT integration in schools. So Belvin had earlier on taken you through briefly the 6 dimensions of 21st century learning design. So for our training today, we are going to look at one of the dimensions, that is collaboration in classroom. Among the others, that is knowledge construction, real-world problem solving and innovation, skill communication, self-regulation, information and communication technology. So we'll be looking at each of these modules one at a time. And therefore, as we do the setup, be patient briefly as I prepare my screen to share. I'll be able to take you briefly through collaboration. So as Belden prepares to share the screen, we should be asking ourselves, what is collaboration? What are some of the activities that we do in class? That brings about collaboration. So as teachers we have been using technology in our classroom in one way or another. And most teachers, when you ask them about how do you integrate ICT in your classroom, what comes into their mind first is use of computers or use of tablets. But ICT ranges from quite a number of tools that you can use locally, not only computers. Even use of radio lessons in classroom constitutes of ICT integration. Use of mobile phones in classroom, for example, maybe you have a resource that you want to share with your student, taking photos and being able to share with them will still constitutes ICT integration. So why then do we need collaboration in classroom? So in modern workforce, people work in diverse teams across time zones, continents and cultures. For example, the development of a new product will require engineers, psychologists, computer programmers, and marketers to work together from different countries. All members of the team must have strong collaboration skills and integrate their individual expertise and ideas into one product. To be successful, they need to work respectively, they need to communicate clearly, and they need also to make compromises to accomplish a common goal. So what skills are required in order to collaborate effectively? So how we prepare learners for such experiences? How to begin with, we must develop a shared understanding of what collaboration means. The component skills required to collaborate effectively will include negotiation skills, conflict resolution, agreement, distribution of tasks, open communication, and integration of ideas into a coherent whole. And therefore, collaboration, educators frequently describe collaboration in different ways. To design learning environments that promote collaboration skills, educators must first have a shared understanding and language to describe it. Once they know what collaboration looks like and what skills it requires, they are better able to plan for it. And by understanding the meaning of collaboration, educators will design learning activities that target the development of skills necessary for learners to be effective collaborators. Placing learners in small groups and giving them a task doesn't guarantee collaboration. To learn effective collaboration skills, children must work with others in specific ways. Activities that promote collaboration will require learners to, first of all, share responsibility, make substantive decisions together, and work interdependently. So such a learning culture moves away from a model of individuality to one of collaboration. This doesn't happen by accident. It needs to be designed, and it requires educators to play a significant role in ensuring genuine collaboration is taking place. We also then look at how do we measure collaboration. In this sense, collaboration rubric. The 21st century learning design collaboration dimension examines whether learners are working with others on the learning activity and the quality of that collaboration. Many distinct levels of collaboration exist, and educators must be aware of what level or type of collaboration they expect their learners to engage in. Simply putting learners into groups or pairs doesn't necessarily mean they are going to collaborate. The clearer educators communicate about the type of collaboration their learners need, the more likely learners will develop a type of skills necessary to collaborate effectively. The collaboration rubric captures the big ideas of the collaboration and serves as a framework for designing collaborative activities. So when you look at the collaborative decision tree, what is being displayed right now, you will realize that learners are required to work in pairs or groups. So you ask yourself, is it yes or it's no? So if it's yes, then you proceed to learners have shared responsibility. Yes, they have. Do learners make substantive decisions together? And then do learners work interdependently? Once you all have gotten these dimensions of the rubric, that will give you an overall mark of 5. If no, then learners can get a minimum of 1 and so forth. So what does working together as an aspect of collaboration mean? So for collaboration to take place, learners must work with others in the learning activity. To meet these levels of collaboration, learners must work in pairs or groups, first of all, to discuss an issue, solve a problem, or create a product. So when learners work together, maybe working face-to-face or using technology to share ideas or resources, their collaboration might also include people from outside the class, including learners from other classes, children from other schools, community members, or experts in the field. In most cases, CBC always encourages us to have guest speakers in our classes. So you could bring in an expert from that field that you want learners to get more insight. That is still collaboration. So the following scenarios don't meet the requirements of learners working together. So for example, learners doing their work alone. That doesn't mean collaboration. A whole class discussing an issue. That's not collaboration. Each learner creating his or her own story and sending it to the to the educator for feedback. That will not be collaboration. Whereas the following scenarios meet the requirements of learners working together. For instance, pair of learners giving each other feedback, a small group discussing an issue together, a learner using Microsoft Teams to interview a peer in another town via internet, learners using maybe OneNote to share their story and give each other feedback. When talk about collaboration, there is a sense of shared responsibility. So to reach a deeper level of collaboration, learners also need to have shared responsibility for their work. They need shared responsibility when they work in pairs or groups to develop a product, design, or respond. Shared responsibility is more than simply helping each other. Learners must collectively own the work and be mutually responsible for its outcome. It is the group work. If the group work involves learners or adults from outside the class, this qualifies as shared responsibility only if the outside participants are mutually responsible for outcome of the work. So some of the scenarios that don't meet requirements for shared responsibility will include learners giving each other feedback. This activity structure implies that one learner owns the work and the other is only helping. The learner interviews a peer in another country about the local weather. This is a task that learners conduct together, but they do not have mutual responsibility for its outcome. These other scenarios meet the requirements for what shared responsibility is all about. For instance, learners conducting a lab experiment together. In this case, learners have a joint responsibility for carrying out the lab experiment. Learners working with peer in another country to develop a joint website using, let's say, Microsoft Office 365. The learners here share responsibility for the development of the website. So with this in mind then, what are some of the substantive decisions? So a deeper level of collaboration, learners also need to have an opportunity to make substantive decisions together. Learners make substantive decisions together when they must resolve important issues that will guide them as they work together. Substantive decisions are decisions that shape the content, the process, or the product of the learner's work. Learners make substantive decisions regarding content when they use their knowledge on a topic to make a decision that affects the academic content of their work together. For example, a group taking a stance on a topic they will write about is making a substantive decision together. Similarly, a group deciding on a hypothesis that they will test in an experiment meets the substantive decision requirement. With regard to process, to make substantive decision together, learners must plan. In this case, what will they do? When will they do it? What tools will they use to accomplish it? And who will complete each task? And finally, to make substantive decision about their product, learners must make fundamental design decisions that affect nature and usability of the product. So some of the scenarios that don't meet requirements for substantive decisions include learners working together to identify capital cities of countries in Europe. This decision does not affect the rest of their work. Another scenario will be pairs of learners choosing which animal they will study. So learners will probably make this decision based only on personal preferences and not on their knowledge of the subject. So teams assigning roles to team members based on list of roles the educator has defined. The educator has planned the process of their work already and not the learners. And then we have another scenario where pairs of learners selecting a color scheme for their presentation. The decision about surface features aren't considered substantive decisions that affect the product design. So the other, some of the following scenarios meet requirements of what we call substantive decisions. So in this case, learners are able to prepare for a debate and must decide what side of issue they will argue. This is content decision that will shape their work together, and learners must negotiate their ideas. Another scenario is when pairs of learners are developing a presentation about climate change and must decide what courses to write about. Learners must decide together what most important courses are. This decision will shape their presentation. And then another scenario will be teams are conducting a research project and must decide on their own work, plan roles on the team. So learners must plan the process of their work. And finally, pairs of learners decide how to shape their presentation to a particular audience. This is a fundamental design decision that will affect the nature of their overall product. We look about interdependency. So the strongest learning activities are designed so that learners' work is interdependent, requiring all members to contribute for the team to succeed. Too often, a group of learners may share responsibility for an outcome, but in practice, the work isn't divided fairly. One or two learners may do all the donkey work for the team. It may be challenging to design learning activities that require the participation of all team members. So to meet this criteria, learners must produce an interdependent product. This may be a presentation that they each share in developing and presenting, or the responsibility of the decision that requires information to be distributed across all teams or all team members. So most interdependent work involves two levels of accountability. First level is individual accountability. Every member of the team is responsible for a task that he or she must complete for the group to succeed. And therefore, the role of each learner on the team is essential. And then we have group accountability, where learners must work together to produce the final product or outcome. They must negotiate and agree on the process, design, and conclusion of their work. Work must be structured in a way that requires learners to plan together and consider the individuality of each member's work so that their product or outcome is complete and cohesive. Some of the scenarios that do not meet requirements of interdependent work, for example, we have group members work together to research frogs, but each learner conducts their own dissection and writes their own lab reports. So in this case, learners work together on the research component, but the product don't require input or participation from others. Another scenario is maybe one learner uses a device to plot or coordinate points and create a star shape with input from group members. So in this case, only one learner is plotting coordinates. The others may contribute, but they could also disengage without preventing the group from completing the product. Learners to each create a web page about history, culture, attraction, or accommodation of their local area that will be linked to class homepage. So learners don't have the strategy to strategize together in any particular way. On the other hand, we have scenarios that qualify interdependent work. For example, group members each research a different internal system, e.g. Circulation, digestion of frogs. And then the learners here work together to dissect a frog and write a lab report about the dissection, identifying the parts of the frog and the systems to which they belong. So here, learners rely on each other's work to successfully identify what they see during the dissection. A second scenario also could be learners each use their own networked devices to contribute coordinate points that collectively create the shape of a star. Each learner contribution is necessary so the group can create and create the completed shape. So learners on the third scenario would create a tourist website presenting the history, culture, attraction, and accommodation of their local area. So in this case, everyone might create a different piece of the overall website, but learners need to work together to determine how to organize the information to create the best possible outcome. And as I summarize, Microsoft collaboration tools, which include Microsoft Teams, Microsoft OneNote, and Microsoft Whiteboard. The Microsoft Team is a class digital hub and a wonderful tool for collaborative work. Learners collaborate in a variety of ways within Microsoft Teams. Some of the features here would include channels, and educators create channels for each team. So the group has a designated place to share all their resources and files. Educators would decide if the channel is viewable by everyone or to a specific team member. Another feature here is the posts. Learners share resources, discuss ideas, and ask questions to teammates in the posts, the post tab or any channel. And then we have files as another feature where learners collaborate on documents, such as PowerPoint slides and Excel spreadsheets directly within the teams and upload media files for easy access. We have forms. Forms in this case are learners may add forms to their channel and collaborate on a survey. Once distributed to respondents, learners analyze the results directly in the teams. And then we have what we call the teams calls. Learners may connect with each other through team calls when in school or not in session. They may also consult with outside experts by inviting the experts to visit the class via Teams. One other tool is the OneNote class. In this case, notebook is a digital, OneNote class notebook is a digital 3-ring binder for the class. Class notebooks include a collaboration space that is especially designed for learners to work together, each group using a specific section designated for team. Learners will add research, brainstorming notes, and presentation drafts to their section. Group members offer feedback directly on the page with inking devices. Learners also sketch designs, draw diagrams, and annotate research, making their ideas and resources accessible to everyone. And then we have the third powerful tool, which is the Microsoft Whiteboard, which provides a free-form intelligent canvas where teams can ideate, create, and collaborate visually. Learners can draw and also write or type. They can also add images or sticky notes. The whiteboard enhances teamwork by allowing all team members to edit and comment directly on the canvas in real time, no matter where they are. Microsoft Whiteboard is available across platforms, that is Windows, Apple, and Android, allowing all learners to collaborate regardless of device type. It is also available within the Teams calls, supporting real-time collaboration in virtual meeting. So this brings us to the end of today's presentation on collaboration. I want to hand it over to Belding, who will take us to the next session. If there are any questions, we can take them briefly. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Maxwell, for taking us through the session. Via the chat, I can see you're too fast. Please, any notes, we'll be able to share with you that, so just stay tuned. So these are some of the 21st century skills that are very vital at this point. Remember, with the CBC, it's entirely project-based. So how can we stand out as private school sector? How can we stand out? How can we attract more into our system? At the same time, provide learners who are ready to take the world to the next level. So with these 21st century skills, we can be sure to stand out. So I just want to stop it at that point. That was the first presentation that was being done by IAN Kenya in partnership with KPSA. I want to hand it over to George so that he can introduce the next panelist. I will also have now another presentation for the next 1 hour. And then at the end of it, just like we mentioned, we will be able to take the questions at the end of the 2 presentations. Thank you so much. Over to you, George.
Thank you so much, Belding, for the presentations that you people have given. However, we are being informed that many teachers are locked out. I think you gave a very minimal maximum for this Zoom webinar. I think you people, your team can work on it so that it can be adjusted upwards. Now, as I indicated earlier, this is a training that has been organized between KPSA in partnership with IAN. And the first session was for the IAN team, and they've taken us through their presentation. Thank you very much, IAN team, for the wonderful presentation. Of course, we'll give the plenary time to ask a few questions about the presentations. Now, I wanted to introduce the next presenter, Ashford Gikunda. Belding, I don't know if he's also locked out of the, because he was to join later, but I can see the Zoom thing is maximum. Belding, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
I'm just wondering, because I've not had, I can't see Ashford Gikunda. He was one of the presenters, but seemingly your maximum has locked him out. So I don't know how he will be joined in there so that he makes his presentation.
Okay, let me just see if he's available so that I can make him co-host.
In the meantime, as Belding is working on the same, at KPSA, we normally have a similar trainings, and as I said earlier, these trainings are always to help us re-equip ourselves as teachers, and also to give us an opportunity to engage, because we directly interact with the students in various classes and in various environments. And the only common thing that puts us together is the examinations, irrespective of whichever location your school is, the exams are always common. So because of the varied nature in which our institutions are situated and are infrastructurally developed, we normally organize for this kind of training so that we can also get time to share our experiences, especially when it comes to direct teacher-student interaction. Now, with regard to this, we also organize such a forum to highlight a few things about what KPSA does, that is the updates from our end. Like this particular term that we are in, KPSA has got a list of items that a list of activities that we are supposed to be doing. With regards to the examinations, we have midterm examinations that will be administered from 24th, the week of 24th, all through 28th. So bookings are already ongoing. We'll share with you the numbers that you can send your orders. So KPS exams, in addition to just administering the examinations, we organize for such kind of trainings whereby we keenly now look at question per question or common topics that give students hard time to tackle. This is one major advantage that we have compared to other exam vendors, because other exam vendors will sell you the exams. The relationship between you and them is only money. Once you buy the exams and they supply to your school, that is the end of the relationship between you and them. Unlike KPSA, whereby in addition to you buying KPS exams, we follow it up with such a kind of a training where we critically look at a few areas of concern and how best we can approach them. So it is for this reason that this week we have lined up subject-based trainings. Beginning today was for teachers of English. Tomorrow, Tuesday, we'll be having mathematics teachers, a training session like this. On Wednesday, we'll be having science teachers being taken through science subjects. Then on Thursday, we'll be having social studies teachers, as well as part of religious studies or religious education. And finally, on Friday, we'll be going through Kiswahili. So these are some of the things that we'll be doing alongside many others. So I want to take this chance to bring in the next presenter in the name of Ashford Gikunda. I'm just checking if he has joined so that he can take us through his presentation. Then we'll have some time for questioning. In the meantime, maybe as we wait for Ashford, I want to open it up for one or two reactions from the presentation that we've had from the AYAN team. If there is anybody with a query or anything that or concern, I can see Robert Charles, you are raising up your hand. You can unmute and then you ask whatever question you have. Robert Charles, I can see your hand is up.
I've decided to ask a question whether the exam that you have said that will be conducted from 24th up to 28th, will it be from all of the school up to grade 6 or it is be up to class 8?
Okay, KPS examinations are always from PP1 all through to class 8, PP1, PP2, grade 1, 2, 3, grade 4, 5, 6, class 7, and 38. So we normally administer for all classes, midterm and end term. For this particular one, for class 8, because we are in the final term for class 8, the one coming between 24th to 28th will be, we have set KCP trials for class 8. Series 1, then series 2 will come at the time we'll be doing our end terms. So basically that is how we administer our examinations.
Okay, thank you.
McDonald Juma, you can unmute and then ask. I can see your hand is up, McDonald. You unmute and then you speak. McDonald's. Robert, seems your hand is still up. You have another question? I'm sorry for the silence. Now, I want to give this chance to another co-host, Angela Muriuri. Maybe you can take us through a few areas of concern in English as we wait for Ashford to give us his presentations. Angela Muriuri is a co-host. She's also a teacher like most of us. She teaches at Providence Primary School. She'll give us a few highlights as we are waiting for Ashford to make his presentation. Angela, kindly unmute and then maybe tell us something.
Yes, thank you, George. Good evening, teachers.
Evening.
Yes, my name is Angeline, as you have heard, and I'm privileged to be in this meeting today because learning never stops. Even when you are a teacher, you keep learning and learning new things. So as we wait for Ashford, maybe I can point a few things about English, and in this case, English composition. As a teacher, you will realize that English composition takes 40 marks of the whole paper. And as we endeavor to make sure that the learners get the 40 marks, we experience a few challenges here and there. So one way of making sure that your learners are going to have the best compositions, or they are going to write so well so that they can be able to match up with the standards, the KCP standards expected. One thing is to make sure that in every composition your learner is writing, number one thing to note is on the themes. Ask yourself, what are the themes that are in the syllabus, the 844 syllabus, that definitely will be set, because you will find that our KCP never goes very far from what has been taught since class 4 especially. We will find that we have different themes. One of it, we can start with maybe disaster, themes on disaster. That is the example like floods. We move to fire, drought, and you will find all these themes are there in our primary English, or if you're using Keynote or NPPE. So have you reminded your learners about the themes on disaster? That is one. Another thing is, have you reminded your learners on themes around school life? School. Themes on drugs, for example. Themes on family or home. You'll find all these stories are in the primary English or in the syllabus. We have themes on narratives. We have very many narratives in our primary English. Have you? Sorry? Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Sorry, you are.
Yeah,
audible.
themes on narratives. That is the in the KCP, the learners will be told maybe to write a story. A few times we have seen it. Don't assume that those are tested. Themes on athletics. The theme of athletics. Have you revised the vocabulary? So in our case here, all these themes need, as a teacher, you have to be groomed well and revise on the vocabulary, revise on the figures of speech for each theme. For example, there is a theme I will use in athletics that I may not maybe use in disaster. So can your learners identify each theme and probable figures of speech? like 5 or 6 in a way that they can be able to use without a lot of hard work? Can they identify them with ease? So when it comes to writing, remember that is the only time you are 100% sure that this learner can get marks. And maybe because we expect that maybe they'll be marked by teachers who are very fair and all that. Will your child or will your student be able to give the best in those themes? I've talked about ball games. You will find that we have different ball games. So we are finding students just writing about football only, whereas we have netball, we have volleyball, we even have safari run in grade 8. So my idea this evening is to expound, to explain and let you know that whatever your learner will write, if they are not going to hit on the theme, then you'll have a very hard time of getting over 25 marks. Remember, in English, theme only, the child being on track, 20 marks is awarded. So the other 20 marks comes from the creativity. So let us get the first 20 marks and then we move on to creativity. And in this creativity as a teacher, how are you going to enhance that your learners do very well? Remember, the learners cannot write well if the teacher, himself or herself, is not also giving an example. I'm not telling you to write on the blackboard the compositions. Just having a variety of stories from one thing. For example, maybe we can get a theme, a story, a rubric. So in this rubric, discuss with the learners how many stories can come out of this rubric. Because you will find that one rubric can have so many stories. The other day we went for marking and we were very disappointed to find learners just writing about violence, the way they were attacked, and others who wrote about drugs, which is okay because the drugs is an emerging issue, but you find they are all writing a similar thing on drugs. How they found a black paper bag, how the black paper bag had been planted in their bags, and then they had to be mistaken identity, and so on and so on. So for your class to have different themes on one rubric, you as a teacher, you have to discuss the composition, write it on the board, underline the characters. For example, you find a composition has started we or I. So this we, the learner should be able to know this we means that, am I going to be alone? Who am I going to put in this we? And then if it is I, it has started with it to be a main character in that composition. So after you get the character, get the time. When did that happen? When did that story happen? Underline keywords like afternoon, morning, evening, after break, after lunch. Those are the keywords to tell you about time. Because the moment the rubric here has started, we were all preparing to go for lunch when we had an unusual bell. So this lunch, if your learner will not continue your story from lunch hour, then they start telling the marker, they move to morning, how they woke up, how the weather was. It was a chilly morning. Definitely before even that marker, finishes the work, she's already bored, doesn't know she has already taken out like 15 marks. Now she's marking out of 25 because of cohesion. Higher. We have talked about character and time. The next thing you will talk in, you will check in the rubric. Apart from character and time, maybe hope you are following.
Yes. Yes, Angela, we are getting it.
You get about time is now asking or revising with the learner, or now the theme. Now we have known the characters who are involved. So if it is after lunch to be at home, that's the setup of the story. Where is the setup of the story? If it's after the bell rang, that is definitely in the school. So unless you are the composition writer now writes a story and then goes back home, there is nothing to do with the home there that should come up. So the setup of your composition should be very key as you revise with the learners on how to do well in the compositions where the episode happened. Hi. Then after that, you have already noted that. Now that is where now think, well, what topic do you think you can write about here? When you heard about the bell, I've just picked about that story about the bell when we had the bell after, we were almost going for lunch when we had the bell ring. So what story do you think will come up? You will find most of our learners, they don't want to write themes on celebration, themes on sports, themes on what is in the syllabus. I don't know whether you teachers have noted that our learners, you just hear them say we had the bell, then immediately we went maybe for assembly, then we had a loud bang. So when you look at this loud bang where it has happened, attacking, and then these people came to our school, they started attacking everyone and all those stories. We have been advised to tell our learners to avoid those movie stories they are watching a lot on violence and implicating themselves in crimes like drugs, and then they do not exonerate themselves. They remain in the drug scene forever. And when, in case, now because we will find those ones who will still continue writing on drugs or on violence, tell them, because such a case now will have to require the law. They have to talk about the police, how the police came, and how the culprits were arrested, because a composition that we leave now the criminals just hanging there in the composition, that means this student has not completed his composition. These people who are committing crimes must be arrested and taken to the court of law and sentenced. And then the writer should be able to tell us that such crimes, such heinous crimes are not the way forward for a moving country and all that. But to avoid all these stories, let us encourage our learners to write on themes on celebrations. We have so many themes on celebrations. Maybe, I don't know whether we can go to chat to chat and see whether we can chat on examples of themes on celebrations, so that we also help each other. But we also help each other on the probable themes we can write on celebrations. Maybe we can start off wedding, very good, Kilaka Mwanza, celebrations, we have a wedding. But again, when you write about a wedding, now think of a situation like here where we have had the bell. The bell has just rung and we have been called to the assembly. Now, will the head teacher announce about a wedding? And then we find that, yes, I can see Hannah Kawira, a trip, very good. There can be a trip, there can be music festivals. Simu, you are talking about circumcisions. And then circumcision is very good. One, because you can come with the aspect of FGM. But now in a school setup, we are assuming that our story is in the school and the bell has rung. So this circumcision, I don't think the head teacher will talk about it. Now, maybe this one can come when the theme is at home. I had my parent calling me, maybe at home, and then he realized that it's time for initiation. And now you bring up the topic of FGM and how maybe the main character ran away from the cat, and then you come on explaining to learners they should be able to condemn such bad or backward cultures that are retrogressive and harming children. So we have prize giving day. That is true. There can be a prize giving day. The head teacher can announce of a probable prize giving day coming. Yes, we have seen a president's visit. Very good. Whereby you'll find that the head teacher can announce that the president was going or was passing by the school. And you can imagine the hula baloo at that time, how everybody will be active cleaning up and doing all, and then all of you are lining up to it for the president. Very good. You have seen visitation, prize giving day, Danish. That is very good. Thanksgiving day. Yeah. A cultural day. Yeah. A drama presentation. Very good. What is happening here? Then this drama, this Thanksgiving, there can be an announcement, and then the children will be able to plan and prepare, ready to have that celebration. That can be the reason why the bell was rung. That is just one story that we can write on celebrations. And let me tell you, these stories on celebrations and disasters, most of the time you'll find the learners getting a lot of marks. The worst part comes whereby now the learner is not able to explain so well about now this Thanksgiving Day or this prize giving day. Then you find other students writing it so well. So what you need to know so a theme, we cannot say that that composition is full of a theme or it is thematic without vocabulary. So the teachers, kindly let us go back to our books. Let us go to Google. Let us Google. These are class 8s. These are class 7s, for example. They already have enough. They are now abstract. You can even discuss in class. List 10 to 15 or 10 to 20 vocabulary. And as you list, use each vocabulary in a sentence. Do not get tired, because a child or a learner will not be able to use a word if the teacher has not practiced it in class. Let them do the oral work. Let them practice the spelling. Let us practice how to use the word, and then you as a teacher use the word creatively, as well as making sure that you have mixed it with the figures of speech, because at the end of it all, every teacher wants the learners to perform well. So that was on the theme. Thank you for those who have been able to theme on celebration. I think now the next part of our composition, you already have your rubric. You have read, you have taken the character, you have taken the time, you have taken now the setup, and now you have decided now this is the theme. So what next after that? The learner must be able to know now to have order of events in that composition. And I know most of you have done that, or have they have already taught, but it is always good to still go back to our chat and check in order of events. This is a started composition, for example, because in all our KCPs, we have not got any other composition apart from the started. What are we going to, how are we going to continue this story? Remember, the first 2 paragraphs should be very captivating. One weird thing that our markers, when they go for marking for neck marking, because of the workload and the pressure that there is, most of them end up reading the first 3 paragraphs. They see whether the child is in tune with the theme. Then immediately they move to the center. They look for 1 paragraph there. Then they go to the last 2 paragraphs or 1 paragraph to see the conclusion. But before I come to conclusion, so I can see people going to the chat and they are saying, what took place first? What took place, the order of events. Now the bell has rung. Definitely, we are still on that topic on the bell has rung and you have been called to the assembly. So what will happen first? There might be an announcement. So it is the learner should be very clear on the order. Maybe the TOD will call the head teacher. We don't expect the head teacher maybe to call the TOD in such an emergency assembly. The TOD will call the head teacher, and then the head teacher will make his announcement. Then maybe that time you will find, because maybe it was a drama or a prize giving day, it will not happen that day. So the first paragraph is to break and tell us the reason they were called there, but leave a lot of suspense in it again. So the second paragraph, we are expecting now to write on the second paragraph. Chep Colon, you have said what took place first. What took place first? Now that is why we are saying the head teacher, the learner, the learners are in assembly, and now the head teacher has made his announcement. So from that announcement, paragraph 2, you will tell us what the child should be able to tell us what happened now after the announcement. We get situations whereby the learners are going direct to the story. Yes, Caleb, we have said objective of the assembly. Yes, the reason why the assembly has been called. And that now will tell us maybe it's a prize giving day or a surprise visit by a local celebrity or a president, or there is I've not seen people, oh, okay, we were talking about celebrations. So from there, the learner should be able to tell us the preparation. We have the preparation of the event, maybe 1 paragraph, or less a paragraph, how the learners prepared for the event. Then the 3rd paragraph, the learner should go straight to the point of how the event started. I don't know whether you have realized that some learners are writing a full page on preparation. And then when you want to get the theme is just 3 paragraphs, and then the last paragraph is conclusion. That learner may lose some marks. That learner may not get 28 out of 40. They just get around 25, 24. Why? Because this learner has taken a lot of time on preparation, how they cleaning and decorating and practicing should be within 1 paragraph. Then the actual thing that happened. Then remember, if it's about celebration, and for example, you have talked about a music festival or a prize giving day. Let me take a prize giving day. The learner should be very candid on what was being awarded. We have learners who are not awarding anything. This learner is just there saying they were given, people who did well were given. So teach your learners what was awarded. Can we please think about a prize giving day and give examples so that we can help each other on what can be awarded during a prize giving day, the categories of awards. Is it possible? Yeah, I think we can send. For example, I can say maybe there can be academic awards. I've sent 1 academic awards. What do you think can be awarded? Yes, trophies will be awarded, but on what? Naomi Gashegwa, on what? Co-curriculum, very good. Discipline, good. Regina, thank you. Goretti, thank you. Co-curriculum awards. This co-curricular, what will it be there? In co-curricular, we have sports. You need to be very keen. In co-curricular, the sports awards were there, drama festivals were there, music and drama were there, all-round student, leadership, very good Moses. We have an all-round student, leadership, discipline, co-curricular awards, and academic awards. Yes, very nice, Naomi. On values, that one comes with discipline. Subject performance awards, those are called academic awards. Best handwriting, academic awards. So because of the length of the composition, when he comes to academic best timekeeping awards, that is also in discipline. All-round students, this is a student who is good at sports, good at academics, good at discipline, academics, co-curricular, and so on. Leadership, maybe the school president and the team, we still have the best leader of that year's children's government. That is very good. So we are saying that in your composition, if it's a prize giving day, the learner should be able to tell us the awards that were given. Some would be given trophies. I have seen some people writing there. Some would be given checks. Some can be given, can be sponsored. Their academics can be sponsored. For example, their school fees can be paid. Some like sanitation, that is, can we say the cleanest boy? In private school, most of the time, yes, we have the cleanest boy and the cleanest girl. Sometimes nowadays it's hard to say because most of the kids have become very nice at that. Anyway, it can still be awarded depending with the school you are in. So best in subject, that is academic. And maybe now this writer, the person who is writing, he should also tell us whether he got an award in that. And if he did not get an award, what did he do? What did he think? What lesson did he learn from that prize giving day? So we are in the third, the fourth, the fifth, and maybe the sixth paragraph, third, fourth, fifth, sixth paragraph, talking about now that prize giving day. And in this prize giving day, this child should also tell us, was there from the vocabulary, who was the guest of honor? And I expect that this guest of honor is the one who will be able to give these awards. And maybe as the prize giving day comes to a close, did the guest of honor give a speech? And that is where now again, you're going to see whether your classmates are able to incorporate a short one paragraph speech in their work. Can your students incorporate a speech as a style of writing? Lois, you're asking, should every award be on its own paragraph? No, you'll realize that we have so many awards. For example, in academic awards, they cannot be in their own. You can maybe, one paragraph can have maybe academic awards, and we have the winner, the first runners and the second runners for every class. Make it as minimal as possible because you cannot also mention all the awards. Remember, there can be so many. So we are just mentioning on categories, and then on that category, like now we had category of curriculum, co-curriculum, on academic, on discipline, on all round. Yeah, those are already 4 paragraphs. So in these 4 paragraphs, if the first paragraph is on academic, exhaust everything on academic, then you go to the next one on best in sports or that co-curricular. We have sports and music festival, exhaust that. Then that one, exhaust on discipline. But don't say the grade ones, the best in discipline, this was given. Like you are saying each and every detail. Remember, composition again is like a summary of the event. So that on our Now, 7th paragraph, maybe we can now have the guest of honor giving a speech, an encouraging speech to the learners who did well, and also encouraging those who did not get an hard work pays one. Every dog has its day. There is always a second chance. And that is now the guest of honor who is almost concluding. Then the last paragraph, the learner may be able to write about maybe how the head teacher gave a vote of thanks and released the learners to go for lunch and live at their own leisure. Now, speech of how many paragraphs? Somebody is asking, how many paragraphs should be that speech? Actually, the guest of honor, the student, if your students are not yet able to capture how to use a speech in a composition, let them report what the guest of honor said. Maybe, for example, I'm now writing the last paragraph. After all the words had been given, the guest of honor was called to the podium to give his remarks. Immediately, he started off in maybe a mellow voice with a lady or a hoarse voice or any type of voice you want. And he encouraged each and every student to work, to continue working hard, and to know that hard work never goes unrewarded. That is reported. Others may decide to use a direct speech for just one paragraph. Remember, you have written a lot, and this speech is just trying to make the person reading your work to know that this child has mastered the use of language. It's not only reported work that can be written in a composition. You can include a speech. This one can be practiced by those learners who are in your bright learners, like your best writers who can be able to take this very fast this term. If they are struggling, let them continue reporting to avoid confusion. I think it is, Mogaka yourself, give credit where credit is due. I agree. If a learner has written well and has not incorporated a speech or even a guest of honor, but the theme, the spelling, those things we have not talked about, we are going to talk about those markers of a good spelling, of a good composition. If the learner has been able to do well, just award marks. Do not be so selfish. We have a group of teachers who never, and they have vowed they never give a child more than 29. This is third term. And in third term, we are not expecting the teachers to be too harsh. Yes, you need to show the child the reality. But remember, some compositions that you are giving 22 might end up getting a 29 in KCP. Why? Maybe you want the learners to write the stories that even if you are told to write a story like that one, maybe you'll also struggle. One, when these learners are writing, although I will come to that, make sure that the key thing the learner has captured is the theme. After the theme, now start marking from 21, moving onwards, because key thing in composition is communicating. It's not about big vocabulary. Let them just use the normal vocabulary. If you have the high flyers in your class, those are the ones now, again, you fine tune them. They don't keep on repeating the same vocabulary. I think we are done with that rubric of maybe a prize giving day in a school. We come to conclusion. The conclusion of a composition for your student. And this one is very key. Teachers, let us not forget. We write very well, but at the end there, the child just leaves the hanging work. Remember, the conclusion is the last paragraph, whereby the child is able to round up whatever he has written. One, in all these compositions we have mentioned, the learner should be able to get a lesson. There are some conclusions that will end up with a lesson. What lesson did the learner learn from whatever has transpired in the story or from the plot? What lesson? Is it working hard? If the learner had written about drugs and they were the people who were trafficking drugs were apprehended, what lesson has he learned from that? If we have written about a prize giving day like now, What lesson has that learner been able to learn about hard work, about dedication, about determination? And if they did not get a reward that day, has their morale, have they been motivated? Because every composition should end up in a positive note. There is no we have compositions that may end up funny, like the learner was just there, nothing happened. But a good composition should end up with a positive mind. That is why we are disagreeing with many compositions on violence. Let the learner have a positive mind, because we have so many things in the society that are positive the learner can write about. So the conclusion, if possible, you can train in a few proverbs and make sure that the learner is able to use the proverb in the right way. A conclusion, some teachers are very keen, because that conclusion might make a child get an over 30 or just get a 30 flat. We have seen compositions that are so good, but they get 29 on 30. When you ask the marker, they tell you the conclusion is the problem. This person has not summed up. So that conclusion could have given the learner 3 marks or 4 marks, depending with the marker. So let us remind our learners about a story. Now, somebody is asking about, how about handwriting? Handwriting, let me tell you, handwriting, the learner must write well. Let us be cognizant of the truth that the teachers who will mark our compositions out there are a bit old. Most of them are primary school teachers, very good. They are in public. They have taught for many years. So they are wondering, why is this learner not able up to now, being able to shape the letters well? Any legible handwriting, Caleb is saying, is credible. I have seen a few of my learners having done KCP. They were just average learners. They could get 23, 24. But after KCP, you find them, because they did well in grammar, the composition, they were given over that, because you look at the percentage. This person getting 79, 80, and 78. But you look at the other subjects, he's not performing like that. Why is it happening like that? Because the composition he wrote, the person who took the composition first, looked at the handwriting, looked at the font. Font is the way the person is shaping the letters and moving the hand. It's so captivating. Before you even read the work, you can already conclude that this child is a good one. Can we use handwriting as a bait to those markers who do not want to struggle? Others, their eyesight is even failing, so they are trying to look. If he starts adjusting his spectacles, teachers, do you think that teacher has time for you for her or him to keep on adjusting spectacles to check your work, and he has 300 or 400 composition? It cannot happen. So composition, handwriting is a must. You don't have a choice, our dear teachers. Make sure they are spacing well, they are shaping the letters well, and the pencil they're going to use is quite dark, so that after 1 week, those compositions can be marked without a problem. Somebody is asking, is it okay to bring another story within the main story? That one, those asides are very good if you find a person who knows how to use them. But don't try them if your children have not up to now been able to start using them. Why? It might be very difficult for them now to get out of the aside and come back to the story. And an aside should not take the whole story. We have use of those asides, a story within a story, and we also have the use of flashback. I think if your learners are able to use the flashback so well and then come back to the current situation, they are going to get the marks. I tend to think that also the teachers who are marking there are open teachers, and they are able to realize that this one is an aside, and then they are able to to mark. Remember, a child who is using an aside or a flashback is already a writer. You have taught, and this person has been able to capture what language is all about. Remember, as a style of writing, you cannot penalize a child for that. The next thing somebody is talking about, a composition heading. I think this is now the questioning time. I don't know, but I'm just going through them so that by the time you're coming to questions, maybe we can, Now, somebody has talked about a heading. It is not very necessary for a heading because you've realized some learners, we write a heading and then the story they are in is not correlating without that heading. So don't be stressed over such things. It is not a must. The next thing is your use of expressions. Somebody is talking about use of expressions. Can we have it on each paragraph? Expressions are good. They need to be used and used well. If a composition is again full of expressions, then as the teacher or as a marker, you will realize that this child has not mastered language. Take note, I've not said expressions are bad, but overuse. A child who is overusing expressions will tell you one thing. He does not have content for that topic. Maybe he has been able to cram. We have our learners who are the time takers. Sometimes I'd say, sometimes you can help the time takers and maybe get a few compositions, like 5 of them, and then because you want them to pass, you do your magic. Now that is where some kind of drilling comes in, but don't drill the whole class. Just a few learners who you find that they have difficulties here and there. Those ones, maybe they can use expressions, maybe to increase on their length and all that. Remember, expressions, those are the figures of speech I'm talking about, the use of idioms, the use of twin words, the use of similes, the use of proverbs, the use descriptive language. How can they be able to describe a prize giving day? Can you have a vivid picture about it? Somebody is asking, which words can we use to begin paragraphs? Oh, we have words to begin and to end. Yeah. For example, you are writing about a prize giving day. You find that learners then like saying the word, then we went, then we came. We have the words as soon as, hardly had we. Check all those sentence structure. Neither had we done this, when, no, not neither. Hardly had we done this when, no sooner had, as soon as I conclude, we all learned one lesson. So we have, I don't know whether we shall have another session whereby we can discuss on words that we can use to start sentences and words to start your paragraphs. Remember, if you have taught the language, the sentence structure, it will be very easy. Go back to them and check, because those are the easiest to use because you have already used them in a class tuition. Is there a crime when learners flow with the same style of using items of merit? I can't understand that. Maybe Clinton, you will elaborate further. The title does not earn any mark. We have known that. Callistus is a learner on American English. Yes, try to use as much as possible both the British English, and we have it even in the dictionaries. There is that NA and then the BR. Use the British English as much as possible, because even that one will even help in spelling, because you'll find that they have different spelling. What method of paragraphing should be indentation or skipping a line? Can we continue with the indentation for the time being? Remember, we are still dealing with the teachers who are marking the work. They are still using the indented. Let us encourage indented, maybe 6 to 7 lines. Again, the paragraph should not be too long. There is a lot we can talk about composition, and I'm seeing even time is almost up. Are the composition converted to 50%? No. English language is out of 60, and then composition is 40. So that means when you come to your grammar paper, number 1 to number 25 takes 15 marks. So then we go to grammar from number 26 to number 50, whereby we have 45 marks. So whether you like it or not, as a teacher of English, you have to make sure that the learners are able to answer the comprehension questions well, so that they can gain more marks. Remember, like the last question in grammar, in the comprehension, which asked about the probable title. That one sometimes takes even 3 marks, even 2 marks, or 2.5, depending. So that one is a must for teachers to teach. I don't want to talk about grammar, but because of that question. So composition is out of 40, then grammar and the comprehension work out of 60, then they add up there. Is there? No. The words such as panga, shamba, chapati, jembe allowed in written English? Now, from my literature side, I will say this is East African English. For example, panga, somebody maybe can check for me whether panga, when we say machete, is that machete British or American? So that then we stand thinking from there. I'm not saying, for me, I don't want to give a leeway on these East African English words, because again, you don't know who is going to mark your work. So for jembe, they can just say ho to be on the safe side. You never know. We have people who are very critical. So we don't want to leave a chance and make our learners fail because of using East Africa. But if they are writing storybooks and all that in other literary work, then they can use them. We agree these words have now been adopted. You know, language grows. But again, this is KCP, and we have not seen people embracing the local language as we expect them for literature work. But let us try our best and use English as much as possible. What is the lower mark a time taker earns? No, that one depends. Remember, we have time taker who just write the name and then they start repeating the same heading. That one definitely we get a 02 or 01. Expressions are good, but encourage learners to check on their relevance and use them valuably. Use a variety of them, but sticking to the subject matter is inevitable. Very good, Rachel. I think also you're also reading these comments from your colleagues. We are all learning here, so you can, anything you feel that will help us to improve our language as teachers, just send it so that we can learn as a team. Learners using same expression, that one is a no-no. It will lead to monotony. For me, for example, if the learner has used all and sundry attended the wedding, then at the end of it, he says all and sundry went for lunch. That repetition itself will make me feel like this learner has not mastered other words. Let the learner know that there are synonyms of different things. Even proverbs have synonyms. Proverbs that means the same as. If they have to repeat the same proverb, if the situation is arising whereby they are supposed to use a proverb they have already used, tell them to use a synonym of that, so that the person marking can be able to see this learner has mastered language, to avoid monotony. Thanks a lot for shedding light on the same. Now, in fact, somebody was asking me about the key things when you are marking your composition. What are the things that you should note as a teacher? Because I've said we have teachers who like writing to learners only 29. The person who got the highest is 29. Even if you kill that teacher, they cannot. These are the main teachers we are having. I don't want us to go back that way in third term. Let us encourage our learners. Remember, there is a mark you can give a learner. You kill or resuscitate that person. One thing you should check is on spelling. We have learners who are writing very many spellings, but we have realized that spellings more than 6 marks, that is only time you penalize 3 marks. You deny the person 3 marks. Then we have the tense. What tense is the child using? If they are, most of the time you're having the reported speech, let them be able to report and report well, because they are telling us something that happened. I think we shall create more time and discuss even on other functional writing, like the speech and all that, so that we can be able to know when this tense will be applicable. Then Anna, we have talked about handwriting is a must. Paragraphing. Paragraphing, I don't want to say the number of paragraphs because I think they range from 8 to 10 there, depending, because this child should be able to write 2 1/4, the least. 2 1/2 is most ideal. And I'm and then from tomorrow onwards, any composition learners are writing, let them use that copy of KCPE so that they start familiarizing with the actual KCPE paper. So when they write 1 3/4, tell them that is laziness. They have to move to the next page. So you realize that if the paragraphs are 7 to 8 lines, maybe they can move up to maybe to the 10th or to the 9th paragraph. Make them as standard as possible. That means that if one paragraph is 7 lines, the other one it should be 7 or 8. Don't allow those children that write one paragraph is 4 lines, the next one 7 lines, the next one they even write 3 lines, and it is not even the conclusion. That work will not look very neat. Remember, presentation is very key here. I think we can talk and talk and talk and talk. We need to get another session so that now we can discuss the other side of composition, because I think we have just cut across. We need to go specifically. How many marks do you award this and this composition? How much do you award for this and this? We need to be very clear so that right now, as you are marking your composition, you are able to give almost the same, if not exact, the range. We need to know the range so that we can have a better J, or the one with the line at the top. The one with the line at the top is not the right J. J does not have that thing on the top. It should just be open, and it is an ascender. The small one is a descender, but it does not. The small one just has a dot on the top. Somebody is asking for the PDF. I think I have a. I will talk to, because I know you got here via your emails. I will talk to George, and then maybe I can post to you a manual on language, not composition, expectations for composition. Maybe you can go through it, and where you feel that like you need assistance, you can talk to George, and then you come back to us and have more of these sessions. I am very happy for your feedback, teachers. I think I've also learned a lot from you, and you have made this day look so, it looks dull outside. I don't know how your place is, but it has been a great time being with you. George, I think we were supposed to have around 40 minutes. It's already 51.
Yeah,
It's already 15.
you've done so well. Thank you so much. I start by appreciating you for having taken up on behalf of Ashford, who apparently could not join because of some technicalities. Now, before you go out of stage, David Mugala wants to ask a question. I saw your hand raised up at some point. You can unmute and maybe ask. You had a question, David? Seemingly is lost. Now, I think we are coming to the end of the meeting. Now I can see some 2 hands are up. Let's go to Callistus Shungu. Callistus, you can unmute and then you ask your question directly to the presenter.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Hello.
I'm Shungu from Accounting. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm Shungu from Accounting.
Yeah.
Yes, would you kindly send us the PDF of our situation? This has been very nice, but there are some areas that I couldn't catch up to you because of network.
Sending what to what?
Yeah, today's PDF training session, if we can send to get it. Because there are some areas I couldn't catch up with you because of the network issue.
Okay, noted. You have taken note. It's possible. David Gitanga. David also has a question or some concern.
Okay, thank you.
David.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you very much, George. My name is David. My concern was on what our role is as teachers of English. Our markers are those old men and women, and I think I have a problem with that. What is our say on what can be done now to have a younger breed marking our children's compositions? In fact, besides just age, even the language our children are using nowadays, they may not be well versed with it. Isn't it time to change the markers of our children's compositions? Thank you.
Angeline, do you have any response to that question?
I think that one will only be solved by us who we feel that we are young and we are in tandem with the current child. In paying for those seminars, I think there is a payment of around 10,000. And then maybe we wait for us to be maybe selected to go and mark. Because what is happening is that they are still doing a lot of repetition of the teachers who are marking, because when you're told to pay 10,000 to go for training, we are saying, this is the work of the government, they should be trained. It is your role as a teacher to develop yourself. We pay for that. When that chance comes, I've not seen it this year, but I know it must have passed me somewhere. We pay for that. We go for training. We do the test. Remember the test, you even write a composition. They give you a composition to mark. They see how you are marking, whether you have given the best grade, because those people who are doing those trainings are also subject specialists. And then maybe, God willing, we end up in those panels. But we hope. I'm not saying that all are very old, because I also have a friend or a few friends marking Insha, and they are quite young. But the thing is, you will find that those people who go for those markings are the public schools, but they are also very good because they also get excited when they find a child using language so well. And they can be able to differentiate a child from public and private school. So as in private schools, we have to be very keen. We use the right language. Let the learner use a language that everybody will be able to understand. Even if he has used a vocabulary, that vocabulary, the person reading can be able to get the meaning from the context. And I know as they mark, they also have their dictionaries there. They're using their Google. There is no teacher who will mark a composition unless you want to claim you are the best without a dictionary or Google checking the meaning. Why? Because these learners are learning. They are becoming better than us. We don't want learners again to just continue with the knowledge I've given them. They are reading widely. So let us not be so worried about that. But again, it's a challenge to us. Let us join the seminars. Let us pay. Let us be part of those who are going to make a difference there. Even if we go around 10, we can change a whole mindset of the team that we are going to meet there. Because key thing here is for you to go with information and also to go with ready to teach others as you also learn from them. Because again, they are also very wealthy when it comes to knowledge and marking.
Thank you. Franklin Omondi has a question. Maybe it may be the final question because of time. We had intended to exactly finish by exactly 5, and we want to stick to that because we still have more trainings. Tomorrow, mathematics. Wednesday, we'll have science. Thursday, we'll have social studies, and Friday, we'll close with Swahili. Franklin, kindly.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I have some 3 questions here. The first one will be going to the presenter. The first presenter did say that we are having something here which we are calling collaboration and also working together. And it seems as if there is a distinction on the 2. So how are we supposed to be using them in our classrooms, the 2, and also with regard to the infusion of ICT? And then the second one goes to Mr. George. You did talk about the examination which we are supposed to be having for the midterm, and already there is ongoing registration on the same. So my concern is to these grade 6 learners. Are we going to still have the questions on them, or we are going to have the multiple questions once? And so how will we get those ones? And then the third one will be going to the third presenter. Taking us on the composition. I was asking if we can also get maybe the guide to the grammar guideline for the primary schools, because the ones which we are also getting in the Google are they're only meant for the secondary schools and the tertiary colleges. Thank you.
Thank you. Angela, do you want to respond first or I do first?
No, I want to, the question Franklin has asked on guideline for grammar. I don't know, the grammar is, I don't know whether it's the language part where we have the 50 questions. And that one, I think I said it is out of 50 marks, whereby number 1 to 25 will get 15 marks, and then the other 25 questions will get the 45 marks to give you 60. Then when now it comes to composition, we have the 40. So 40 plus 60 becomes 100. I don't know whether he's talking about that or what guideline is he talking about, or is he trying to say that maybe a prediction of the coming KCPE English?
Maybe because of time, you can share your number. Angeline is an examiner in the NEC, and she can always be reached. You can even invite her to your schools. Maybe if you have a team of English teachers of English, you can always invite her to come and maybe give the tips, especially this third term where we are preparing our candidates for the examinations. She's a very resourceful person, and Angela, you can share your number in the chat. There's the team from Mayan Building and your other team, and and also for all the participants of today. Thank you very much for your time and for participation during this particular training. As I said at the time I was beginning, or as the time we were beginning, these are trainings that are lined up to the end of the week. So today, we were handling English as a subject. Tomorrow, we'll be handling mathematics the same time, 3 to 5. So kindly share the same link that we had given out to all your teachers. We've also adjusted the Zoom capacity. Now it can accommodate more, up to 1,000. So as many teachers, some even join with your students. So kindly share the same with your other teachers, your other friends as well, so that tomorrow we can have a larger group. Of course, we'll get to be more organized tomorrow as we get ahead. But I want to assure this group that we'll be having similar training sessions, because like in English, you realize that Angela has only talked about composition, but we have the language part. So we'll be forced as KPSA to organize ourselves on when that can also be handled. Otherwise, thank you very much, everybody, for your participation. I'll request Franklin, I can still see you. Maybe you can lead us in the final prayers as we finish. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. George. Even though we are not coming from the pastoral community, but anyway, let's all believe and pray. Heavenly Master who lives in heaven, we are very much thankful for this wonderful moment that you are giving unto all of us. We can ask you to, we'll have to glorify thee. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you and bye, everyone. Have a blessed evening. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.